It all comes down to this. 12 long, grueling weeks through the gauntlet takes us here. It is the regular season finale for the Speed Race Network Fiverr Truck Series here at the Jewel in the Desert. I am Emerson Arden. I have my colleague Will Tiller alongside myself in the virtual booth this evening, and we are excited to be bringing you live coverage of Elimination Tuesday, Cut Day, as Will Tiller will mention, here from the virtual Avondale, Arizona, here on the iRacing.com motorsport simulations platform. And Will, we have a flat, wide, and fast 1 mile track that stands before these fringe playoff drivers looking to secure one of the 4 remaining slots heading into this evening. Many of these drivers will log off their sims tonight, knowing that their competitive seasons have come to an end. However, 15 of them will still be attempting to chase glory by season's end.
Absolutely, Emerson, as we're at the old Cactus in the Desert here, opened in 1964. Denny Hamlin has the fastest lap time here in NASCAR, but this is a tricky course here tonight. It's flat, but it's weird, Emerson. As we take a look at that overhead shot, you have that O'Reilly wide corner right there. It's hard to keep track of which corners are which here at Phoenix. They move it around the track. It's just good to stay clean, keep your pace. And Emerson, you mentioned it here tonight, maybe the same pace of a short track.
Yeah, absolutely. This track is 1 mile. It's classified in many categories as a short track. In most people's eyes, it is not a short track. This baby is high, wide, fast. I mean, we're getting near 160 miles an hour into the turns here. And we have a big wide doglet. These drivers will be able to cut on the restarts, and it'll be something else getting into tonight, which makes it the perfect stage, the perfect setting to talk about the season finale. And Will, it's time for us to take a look at these points getting into the action this evening. And here they are on the screen, getting ready for action tonight. We have 11 drivers locked into the show. We're looking now at 12th place James Jackson, who is 35 points above the cut line. He is nearly secured in, but he's gonna need maybe a good starting spot and maybe a good stage 1 to lock himself in. But then that's where it gets messy, Will. Blair Holloman and the Park Brothers right above. Go for it, Will.
Absolutely, and those drivers that you see highlighted in those green colors, they're locked in. And you mentioned it, Emerson, off air. We have an opportunity to see 2 brothers that might eliminate each other out of these playoff hunts. We're looking at Ben Park, Dan Park there at the top of that, right at that cut line. But you look at other names that are on the outside looking in. I'm looking at Daniel Dow here tonight. Dylan Godinez is going to be strong. You mentioned Jose in that 19th position right there. He could be strong. So all these guys need to do, Emerson, is win, as easy as that sounds. But if they can get a win, they're in.
Absolutely right. A win and you're in. It doesn't matter as long as you are. I think the threshold is if you scored 150 points this season. So I think that clues in everyone, I believe, from 31st onwards. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Taking a look at some of the names outside the cut line, Will. We talk about Danny Dow. He has had 2 podiums over the last 3 races. Danny Dow is looking pretty sharp. He's only 18 back. Is there a chance? He's tied with Jeffrey Vickery, 18 off the cut line. Of course, we have the Park Brothers that are just inside the cut line. 7 points separate them. If somebody outside the cut line wins, it's then a 7-point gap between the Park Brothers on the cut line. Last season's champion, Ben Park, is only 7 points to the good coming into tonight's race, Will. There is plenty to go on tonight, plenty for us to watch, and it's just getting started. A fantastic evening here, of course, at the virtual Phoenix Raceway here in Avondale, Arizona, for Elimination Tuesday. Ready to get to the action, ready to rock here from Phoenix. And qualifying is underway. Nearing the conclusion of qualifying, we have about 2 minutes left. We can go ahead and get the timing there on the left-hand side. and it is Matthew Greathouse. And how about it? We were just mentioning him. Well, Danny Dow is second on the timing sheet. And that, if Danny Dow can have a great race today and maybe, just maybe get it done, that could throw a whole wrench into everybody's plan.
Yeah, 25 laps to the end of stage 1. I was just thinking, Emerson, as we were looking at those points, looking at the points, Michael Lipicki up there now in that 22, knocked down off that second spot. But maybe this race really boils down to 3 different segments. You're looking at your qualifying run. Danny Dow is going to check that box. You're looking at the end of stage number 1 at lap 25. You want to see how you finish there. And then you want to race it out those last 25. And if you can check all 3 of those boxes, then you can make it into those playoffs.
Absolutely, Will. Plenty of for us to watch out for tonight. There's Jeffrey Radke, the driver who is second, the second driver in points locked in to the playoffs there. Jeffrey Radke, it takes a little bit of a spin there in qualifying. He is A-okay to kind of lounge around today, but none of these drivers that are locked in, Will, are looking to just get through tonight, or maybe some are, but you're looking to set yourself up right to get yourself some momentum heading into the playoffs.
You want to ride that confidence, Emerson, and I think you just nailed it right there. You want to ride that wave, and every time you talk to a driver that's locked in or they have a couple wins on the season, you know, they keep riding those podium finishes. You say, hey, you're going to lay back a little bit, maybe scout the competition. They'll tell you point blank, Emerson, no, I want that checkered flag. Watch out for it here tonight.
Absolutely. And so qualifying is coming to a close, and that means that Matthew Greathouse has secured the pole position tonight here in Avondale, Arizona. Getting ready to do battle tonight then is this field of Fiverr truck drivers. 31 of them have made it out to the track tonight, and it's time for us to get down to our starting lineup. We'll go through it. Here's the starting lineup on your screen, and there it is. Matthew Greathouse with the provisional pole. To his outside will be then the 22, our Las Vegas winner, Mike Lipicki. Then we carry on. It'll be Danny Dow, driver outside the cut line. A great qualifying spot for him. Starting third. Can he get it done? Is this the night that Danny Dow breaks through and gets to victory lane? And what stellar fashion would be a season saver if he could. Andrew Harris will start 4th. Trevor C. Williams will start 5th. Michael Madden then in 6th. Jason Green will start 7th. Blair Holloman 8th. Ben Park, last season's champion, only 7th to the good, will start 9th. And Jeffrey Vickery will start 10th. Will?
Picking up in that 11th position, we have Jacob Zala in that 25. Had a good week last week. Can he continue that momentum into this week? In that 12th spot, though, we have Sean Corcoran in that 43. 13th position, Jose Castellanos in that 17. 14th position, Austin DeLong in that 89. 15th position is going to be occupied by James Jackson in that 29. 16th position is going to be Bruce Armisen in that 28. 17th position, Sean Kozer in that 97. Just mentioned Dylan Godinez in that 88. He'll ride off 18th here tonight. Rounding out the top 20, we have Derek De Silva in that 5 and Spencer Brown in that 52.
Not done yet, getting down to business back here. 21st we'll have Zachary Hines. 22nd will then be Wally Babb. Couple drivers locked into the playoffs. Starts row 12, Jeffrey Radke and Dalton McKinney. Row 13 will find Troy Techmeyer, one of those drivers outside the cut line. He's had a lot of pace recently, needs to get it together here. He'll start 25th. Jason Kratke will start 26th. 27th will be Greg Olenek, and oh my goodness, this is a terrible qualifying performance with a driver on the cut line. Daniel Park only 18 above. I should say Ben Park then is not 7th to the good. He's 25 to the good, but 7 over brother Dan. But Dan is only 18 points to the good. He needs to get going early here for Phoenix. He's going to have a say in this playoff. Connor Cunningham will start 29th. Nicholas Lawrence will start 30th. And starting shotgun on the field will be 31st position, Sean Griffith. And so we're getting ready to do battle here tonight at Phoenix. The field is rolling off the pit lane. The field is in the hands of Matthew Greathouse. And just like that, will the iRacing.com safety vehicle has found its safety down in the pit lane. Now, the thing about Phoenix is we go a long way around before we get to racing here. So the pace car is in pit lane, but the field is still technically under the guise of the pace car. Now the field will be in the hands of Matthew Greathouse, as they still crawl at 50 miles an hour. 31 Speed Racing Network Fiverr Truck Series vehicles roar to life, and racing commences from Phoenix. One lap complete here from Phoenix, and it is Mappy Greathouse out in front as the field roars to life, and they're getting busy. Further on back, Danny Dowd, the driver who needs to win to make it in, he's down in 4th position right now, and there are some hot battles going on behind. Blair Hollum and Jason Green going at it for 6th.
Yeah, battling out already inside of that top 10. Drivers, though, settling into the inside lane just early on into this race. That 55 machine of Green trying to get around Zala there. They're moving around. Williams in that one. I think he could be a sleeper here tonight. Watch out for that one machine just inside the top 10.
You remember Trevor Williams, he got it done at Iowa. Iowa's slightly shorter than Phoenix, but you could say maybe a different certain driving styles will play here. And there's a caution on the speedway. Jeffrey Radke, a driver in trouble.
Ooh, that 32 right there. That's on the slanted straight, I like to call here at Phoenix. It's kind of hard to say where that backstretch is. It looks like there might be some damage to that 3 machine as well.
We'll be able to take a look at what happened here. The 3 of Jeffrey Radke, the 32 of Troy Techmeyer in trouble here. Here's the incident out of turn number 2. And the 4 of Zachary Hines washes up into the 43 there. Sean Corcoran nowhere to go for Radke, and then Techmeyer just gets clipped. Luckily, no one has sustained any heavy damage, maybe other than Jeffrey Radke on the left front.
That's tough. I mean, Emerson, we're just a few laps into this race. That's heavy, heavy damage there to the 3 machine. And I know Jeffrey probably coming in ready to go here tonight, regular season finale. That might be the end of his race, Emerson, depending on how long repair time he'll have down pit road, if he can get that 3 back out on the track.
Now, the good news is, Will, he is locked into the playoffs, but certainly not the way you would really want to head into the playoffs here on a downer. And right there, well, we didn't even see that initially. There is a massive piece of sheet metal missing to the right front of that 3 machine.
Yeah, and that's going to be some heavy front end damage as well. Once that steering starts to go on a track, Emerson, that you really want to get low at, like Phoenix, that's going to be so detrimental for that 3. You know, if we're at a track where maybe you can transition through the lines, maybe we can go mid line, high line, maybe just try to find some speed. Maybe the 3 can keep it rolling, but we'll see. Here he goes off of pit road.
He's going to give her a go as the field will trudge along and getting ready to approach the start finish line. I'd imagine this time we'll be taking the 1 to green, as there was no lapped vehicles other than Nicholas Lawrence electing to not start tonight's race, and we will go another time around. We'll take this moment very early in the going here from Phoenix to step aside and hear a word from our partner, Butt Kicker. Welcome, race fans, back to the virtual Phoenix Raceway here in virtual Avondale, Arizona. VIRacing.com safety has already found its safety down in the pit lane and now lends the field into the hands of Matthew Greathouse. He's got Michael Lepicki to his outside, Andrew Harris, Danny Dow, Michael Madden, Blair Holloman, Jason Green, Jacob Zala, Trevor Williams, and Jeffrey Vickery. Racing commences once again from the Jewel in the desert. One lap removed from the restart, and Matthew Greathouse is still out in front of this field. Andrew Harris closes the gap. Lepicki sat in third, and the battle goes on for fourth. Madden and Danny Dow going at it hard out of turn number 2.
Oh, and you see a truck get loose right there. That is Danny Dow in that too. He slipped sliding here in the desert. And this is what makes Phoenix so awesome, Emerson. It's a weird track. Folks, if you're watching along with us here on SRN, you see in these corners, the field's going to span out. It's going to fan out, and then everybody's just going to tunnel back in. It makes this track so difficult to get your lines, to keep your pace. We're watching the leader right now. Matthew Greathouse still leading the way as they're single file at the top.
So Danny Dow has fallen back to the 5th position. Blair Holloman really getting up there, up into the marbles even, Will. In that bright blue number 10 machine, nearly matching the color of the wall up there. Blair Holloman really experimenting, trying to run right up there, trying to get these straightaways as long as possible, trying to get up to the throttle as early as he can. And then sideways there is Jacob Zala behind. But Holloman trying something early here, and I respect that. I think that's what you should do here in these opening stages, especially with that stage caution around the corner.
And for Danny Dow in that too, do you think, Emerson, maybe he should just stay as comfortable as possible, maybe ride out this stage? Because you get the lap 25, you get those stage points. That's exactly what this two-machine does.
You know, I don't really know what the game plan is. I feel like everything, especially if you're not locked in, is just geared towards a win anyway. Very few drivers, I think, are thinking about pointing their way in. I'd say maybe the drivers who are already technically in on points coming into today's race are those drivers that are looking at it. But, I mean, this is a very long race, and scenarios do change also, Will. Now, Danny Dow, he is 18 back of Dan Park, and Dan Park had a very, very troubling qualifying position. So then you compare it to Jeffrey Vickery, who is in the midst of this field, and Vickery is behind Danny Dow. All of a sudden, if you look at it, well, Danny Dow could be pointing his way in.
Yeah, that's exactly what that 2 needs to do. Stay in that 5 position, top 5. We've got about 11 laps to go here in stage number 1. He keeps this pace. I'm starting to see the field also, Emerson, stay in a single file lane. We're not seeing many passes, many moves for position. Of course, seeing that big fan in the corners. But once we get right there is really the only battle. That's the 13 machine of Dan Park trying to move inside the top 10. Battles all over the racetrack here, Emerson. But as these laps tick down, will we start to see some big gambles out of some of these guys on the outside looking in?
And so this is Ben Park in the 13 machine, who was 25 points at a good coming into today's race, and is looking to continue that trend forward. So he was 7 above his brother. And
he's moving up though. Dan Park, yeah. He is moving up though, Emerson. He's up 5 spots since the drop of the green flag. You talked about that qualifying position for him. He's trying to make quick work of the field.
And he has to. Essentially, if Dan Park is going to make these playoffs, this is not a droppable race. Nobody will be able to drop this race out of their point standing calculations. Dan Park is going to need this race to be done very well in his favor. He's going to need, he's not even going to be able to get stage points at this point, but he's going to have maybe a couple things fall his way just because of the poor starting position.
Yeah, he's trying to do everything he can, get everything out of this season, Emerson. And that's exactly what tonight is. It's a regular season finale, and I think you put it perfectly in those opening statements. Your season could end tonight, theoretically. If you don't make those playoff races, of course you can stick around and race those last 4 races of the season, but you're not racing for a championship. And Emerson, I think everybody wants to race for the cup as a 25 machine. Zala's trying to move up the grid. You're starting to see now some movements with just a few laps to go here in stage number 1.
Yeah, last time by the start finish line, Jacob Zala had a major bobble out of turn number 4 down the front straightaway and lost, I think, about 4 spots. And so Zala was trying to be, I guess, on damage control there and not lose too much more time to his fellow competitors.
Yeah, this is a tight battle right here. Dylan Godinez, he needs a great run in that 89 machine. You see him right there, the 88 machine. You see him in the mix between Jacob Zala, Spencer Brown's right there, Sean Kozer. All these guys, they need to start moving up quick. There's contact between the 17 and the 88, but we do have Jacob Zala in the 25 there. I did start to see his name drop down the field. I was wondering what happened.
Well, a big time moment for Jacob Zala in this regular season finale, and this one he takes a big lick to the outside wall, and we're gonna see what happens here to the 25.
Oof.
Oh no, and looks like maybe an equipment malfunction.
Yeah, that's the only thing I would say, Emerson.
Well, and I don't believe you have audio on your feed, Will, but when we transitioned to Jacob there, you could hear the throttle was pinned, which is a sure tell sign in iRacing that the wheel has become disconnected and that the inputs are still the same inputs as what they were when it was last plugged in. And so we can take one look at this. This one can be from the in-car. From Jacob Zala's in-car. So he's downshifting here, or upshifted there into the 4th gear, and yeah, right there, the wheel gets thrown to the right.
Yeah.
And then the wheel locks full left, and the truck is pinned there at 8,000 RPMs.
Oh, that's tough. That is tough for Jacob Zala. As mentioned, had a great week last week, was coming in with some confidence and momentum. Emerson was looking for a pretty good run. It wasn't finding the speed early in this race. The 25 machine was starting to slide just a little bit, finding himself inside the top 15. But to have it end like that, that's going to be tough. Just an equipment failure put you in the wall.
The unfortunate thing, Will, is this isn't his first equipment malfunction on the season. If you can recall back to Iowa, 5 laps into the race, he got loose out of turn number 4 and full lock the wheel to the right. And that was a very odd incident at the time. I thought it was maybe an overcorrection, but upon further review, you saw it was not. It was a wheel full locking. Now, maybe it locked because maybe there was an aggressive reaction from Jacob himself, but nonetheless, this is not the first time we've seen a mechanical malfunction for this 25 machine. And now he's finally getting serviced by the virtual pit crew. Jacob Zala is going to need to tighten things up here.
And Emerson, I don't know if you have a drone down pit road, but however you're getting these camera angles for the folks at home, these are amazing shots here down pit road here on SRN. We're almost right inside the cockpit of these trucks.
But these are some great cameras I've had from the past. And yeah, I mean, these are some stunning shots. There's Troy Techmeyer. Now, there was something else that happened after the caution came out. I think we should investigate as well. Let's see what this is. There's some heavy damage here to Wally Babb's truck. Under caution. Not entirely sure how this came about. And there may be a lot more to this story.
Oof.
and then parks, and then is hit by a truck from behind. Very
There's definitely more, yeah.
intriguing. Uh, There, we'll try to see what happened then. Wally Babb, here he is racing the Ford truck of Zachary Hines. Oh, well, he was part of the incident with Jacob Zala. Actually, that makes sense.
Oof.
But
And now my question to you, Emerson, as we watch this, what happened to the 99 machine of Wally Babb, is that the end of the stage? Because I'm looking now, stage 1 was going to end in lap 25. Are we going to have a race to the end of the stage, or did Matthew Greathouse go ahead and get that stage victory?
well, we're racing to the stage now. I believe it's going to be a one-lap shootout, and Matthew Greathouse is out in front out of turn number
Here we go.
2. So for the final time into turns 3 and 4, I would imagine Matthew Greathouse is going to lead Mike Lepicki off the corner, and if after 10 trucks cross the line we get a caution, yes we do. That was the stage.
So Matthew Greathouse picks up the stage number 1 victory. Lepicki second, Danny Dow Emerson, that's exactly where he needed to be, finishes 3rd. Michael Madden 4th, Green 5th, Vickery up to 6th, Holloman 7th, Williams 8th, Jackson 9th, Castellanos in that 10th position. And you see those stage points, Emerson. This could be huge at the end of this race. Who makes it in, especially for Danny Dow in that 2.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of numbers to crunch here, and we'll be certain to do so. Now, while the field will catch up to the safety vehicle, we will get the field to roll down into the pit lane. Service will commence for these drivers down the pit lane. Matthew Greathouse will lead them down. Now, several drivers did pit before the stage, and so many of them will be coming around right now. Andrew Harris, one of them.
And Emerson, as we watch these drivers head down pit road, including Matthew Greathouse in that 51, as we look at the end of the race right now, 30 laps in, our first pit stop, so maybe looking at lap 60s, 70s for some green flag pit stops with 20 laps to go.
We're looking at it here, right? I could certainly see pit stops coming about. What the thing I think we have to remember is the fuel loads here in the Speed Race Network Fiverr Truck Series, along with the other 2 series, is that V Series runs 75% fuel loads of the full tanks that these vehicles can hold. So instead of the standard 18.9 gallon tanks these vehicles are standardized to have in NASCAR competition, they have about 13.9 gallons. So that will adjust the lap amount that these drivers can run on fuel. And then the other thing is, being a flat 1 mile track, tires be a massive impact as well. And I'm completely forgetting that we do have a stage winner to talk to. So Matthew Greathouse will be making his way up to the booth, and we will get a chance to speak to then driver of the number 51, Matthew Greathouse, after that stage victory. And Matt, finding yourself here with a stage victory, trying to solidify yourself in the playoffs. Of course, you are locked in via points. I'm sure you would like to get yourself a win though before that starts. So far, so great.
Yeah, man. Having a good run so far tonight. After last week, it's just been kind of, had a rough week last week. So just trying to put that behind me and come out here and try to do the best I can. It's good to get a stage win there and hopefully solidify regular season championship. I know it's going to be tight, so just trying to get as many points as I can tonight. If a win comes, that'll be good. But just really points racing tonight, set myself up for the playoffs.
But there you go. Even the driver who's qualified on pole and now finds himself as a stage 1 winner is points racing. He's locked in right at there is still a lot up for grabs, as you mentioned, the regular season championship. Even if you don't get the win, how much of a boost would that be to get those extra bonus points for a regular season title?
It's huge, man. I mean, it's a lot of points, and if you have one bad week in the first round, it'll won't cost you as much. So yeah, we'll just continue on and try to stay out of an accident tonight. Just try to get as good of a finish. But just want to thank Silverback Tax Solutions. 51's looking good tonight. So you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
Absolutely. That is driver of the number 51, Matthew Greathouse, our stage 1 winner here from Phoenix. And so I mentioned there, Will, we did have 4 drivers stay out as they pitted under the last caution period. And here they are. It is Andrew Harris, Zachary Hines, Dalton McKinney, and Greg Olenek. Olenek was the last person up here in the booth before Jonathan Byers invited me to come help out here this season here in SRN. But we're racing once again. It's Andrew Harris out in front, and we're racing through turns 1 and 2 here in the desert. Oh, we got trucks around. Trucks in the pit attenuator. Oh, we're going to have a track blockage. The 7 of Dan Park is involved. That is huge.
Oh, Emerson, just as we were about to listen to them rumble down that backstretch, we have a huge pileup off of corner 2. Oh my goodness, Emerson, I think some playoff hopes may be dashed in this pileup.
This is certainly one driver that could potentially be out as a result. Daniel Park's truck is beat on all 4 sides. And coming into today's race as the driver on the cut line and not getting stage points, Dan Park is in massive trouble and is gonna need a lot of help if he's gonna secure a way into the playoffs.
And we talked about it. The brothers in this race, they were both locked in on points. Emerson, I say that because, of course, we have drivers locked in on wins. But now with Daniel Park having this issue, like you just said, it's going to put an immense pressure on the 7 machine. He's going to need some help if he wants to make it in these playoff races now.
Let's try to see what happened here. Of course, most in mind is the 7 of Dan Park, the cut line driver, trying to avoid the incident. That's all he was trying to do. But while he's doing that, bodies the 5 truck, his teammate there, Derek Da Silva, and massive damage all the way around.
Emerson, early in this race, I would say the 7, you sit down pit road, you take that repair time, you get it back out. But we just hit the end of stage 1, creeping up towards the halfway point in this race. I don't know. It's going to be tough for the 7. Emerson, like I said, is going to need some help if he wants to get those points needed to advance to those playoff races.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's, Sean Jensick, the 89 there, Austin DeLong in trouble. Last season champion Ben Park was in this incident as well. So both the Park brothers involved in this one.
And that's interesting as well, because both of them were in, but they were in by a lot. We talked about legitimately there was maybe 5 or 6 drivers that could race in on points, and now you have 2 guys that were right on that cut line, both with heavy damage. Emerson, this could really shake things up towards the end.
So Ben was one of 3 trucks that went around there. Now Ben, I believe, was contacted from the rear, but DeLong and Jensick spun out on the cold tires in front of Ben Park. Ben had nowhere to go. He was then ran over from behind. Brother Dan had nowhere to go and ran into the back of his brother Ben in this incident, and then came up the track and slammed teammate Derek Da Silva for good measure. So right on board with Dan. You'll see this all unfold. Jensick and DeLong gets spin on cold tires. Then Ben is hit by by the 52 there. And then up the track is Dan trying to avoid it, and then hits the 5 of Da Silva. Oh my goodness. And the 3 of Jeffrey Radke had an undercarriage examination there from the 28 of Bruce Amsden. You come down the track, and it's going to be a huge hit there to the 97 of Sean Kosher. And Techmeyer is going to try to stop in time, and this is near a 10 truck pileup.
Just massive, Emerson. Just absolutely massive here in this regular season finale of the Fiverr Truck Series on SRN. We monikered it the elimination race, the cut race. We're going to get down to our championship drivers after this race. We're already watching some drivers on that cut line. Emerson feeling some pressure as now we're back green flag racing.
One lap removed from the restart, the first green flag lap of stage number 2, and the race is on back here. Michael Lepicki is trying to claw his way forward. He'll clear by Zachary Hines, and Hines and Green now duel it out for 5th.
Yeah, Green on the inside.
Truck hard into the wall. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just as we saw moves, more huge pileup again on the backstretch. Emerson again, that's coming off of 2 more drivers. It looks like at the tail end of the grid, though, are going to pile up. Same corner, same location as before. Shout out to Denzel Washington because it feels like deja vu here tonight. Another pile up on that backstretch.
Absolutely. And taking another look at this one, we saw a little bit live out of the corner of the angle. And this time it's the 52 of Spencer Brown sideways all by himself. Cold tires catching him out just like Jensic and DeLong last time. And oh no, Jensic's going to be 2 for 2 here. Last 2. It's the same thing for the 97 of Kosier. Oh my goodness.
All the same trucks in the incident from before. This is going to be at the very tail end of the field. I just watched Dylan Godinez, though. You saw how close he was, Emerson. Just nearly escaped disaster there on the replay.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at both the brothers side by side here. Approaching this incident, Dan and Ben. Dan here, the truck in focus. And he's going to have nowhere to go but into the tailgate of the 97.
And this just makes this race even more strategic. A little bit more chippy, a little bit more sloppy on the racetrack, if you will. But you're starting to feel the pressure now. You're starting to feel, okay, these laps are ticking down. We've had a few cautions now, which eats up laps, which makes it now when you go green, even less laps to make those moves, which cuts down your strategy. I think feeling the pressure now. Danny Dow, you see now, he slid down to 9th. I think on this restart, you're looking at Matthew Greathouse. These guys haven't even got the opportunity, Emerson, to let that new equipment really warm up. And we just got about 50 laps to go.
Hey, you think about it, Will. The drivers in the catbird seat here, the drivers who pitted before the stage caution, on the caution before, where, you know, Andrew Harris, Dalton McKinney, Greg Olenek, Zachary Hines, they're all out here still in the top 5. The only one who's been passed is Zachary Hines. Then that was by Michael Lepicki, who is on slightly, and I mean, one green flag lap fresher tires than Hines is the 22. But Professor Andrew Harris, Dalton McKinney, and Greg Olenek, the more we have these heat cycles, Will, the more it falls into their favor.
Yeah, these drivers love this style of race because there's no pressure. You're not putting any pressure on your equipment. You're not racing too many laps. There's not many trucks up there battling up there with you, Emerson. You start to go, you start to feel that pace, the yellow flag waves, you start to settle down. You can take that pressure off that equipment. So it's that give and take pace. Let's see, though, how long they can keep it going and how long will it take for that second group to get warmed up, including Matthew Greathouse in that 51. Can he get back up to the lead now with 50 laps to go?
That is going to be the question. The lights are out on the safety vehicle. I do want to rest assured to everyone here that as soon as the checkered flag flies tonight from Barney the Flagman, Jonathan Byer and his crew will immediately bust out the calculators, the pencils, and everything to get us a playoff field announced prior to the conclusion of tonight's broadcast. So we will know all 15 drivers 100%, barring, any, post-race penalties. 100% the 15 drivers locked in as of the finishing results tonight. So before we go off the air, probably after the conclusion of post-race interviews, Jonathan Byer will provide us with a points update. And we're going to update you right now with our 5th restart of the evening. Andrew Harris brings us back to green flag racing.
Yeah, as Andrew Harris in that 87 takes us around the track here, 1 lap under green. He's looking good at the top side of the grid. Dalton McKinney, though, in that 46 machine. I was talking about him off air. Emerson, he has a win this season. Had to take some time off back here in this race, trying to make it 2 wins on this season.
Be a great run for Dalton McKinney. Battles go on back here, though. Michael Madden has powered past Zachary Hines. Now looks to get up on Jason Green. They battle it out for 5th. Madden's gonna slide up the track contact between the 55 and the 15, but they'll keep them straight.
And it's that same corner, same area right there. You think you have that move, you can get to the inside of a driver, you can kind of bump a little bit, but then you start to get loose yourself. Michael Madden, though, doing a great job in that 15. He's riding around in that 6th position, starting to settle in just a little bit now, Emerson. The little flag hasn't waved as we're now starting to see Dalton McKinney in that 46 machine. He looks to the inside. Andrew Harris is going to battle for the lead, brewing at the top.
Absolutely. And the thing is with Dalton McKinney, 2 laps ago, he set the fastest lap of the race. The only problem with that is Andrew Harris tied his lap.
Monkey see, monkey do, right?
So the race is very, very hard and true up here out in front. The race is also scrappy back here. Danny Dow, one of the drivers outside the cut line coming into today's race, is now scrapping away just to stay inside the top 10. Dueling it out with pole sitter Matthew Greathouse, and now under attack from Blair Holloman.
Oh, people say that Scooby-Doo's their favorite character, but mine's Scrappy-Doo. Let me at him, let me at him. That's what Danny Dow is saying in that 2 machine. Let me at these trucks. Let me get up the grid. Let me get back inside the top 5 where I feel safe and comfortable. That will be through to those playoff races. Right now, though, trying to crack inside the top 10 in a battle with Blair Holloman off the corner.
So the good news for Danny Dow is he got stage points. That'll easily close the gap between himself and the cut line of Dan Park. And unfortunately for Dan, but maybe fortunately for Danny Dow, is that Dan has been caught up in now 2 incidents. So Danny Dow is looking pretty smooth as he tries to close that gap on the cut line. Dan Park is sat in 20th. Danny Dow is sat in 10th. Also, Jeffrey Vickery, one of the drivers, he did score stage points. Vickery did. That is important to note. He was 6th, I believe, in the stage for Vickery, but now down here in the scraps of it with Dan Park in the running order.
This is not where you want to be with 42 laps to go for Vickery. Maybe needs to come up with some sort of strategy, some sort of gamble that would keep him out on the racetrack. Try to utilize some sort of track position to flip-flop position. We'll jump back up here on the top side of the grid. We have Matthew Lipicki. He's under fire, though. Josh Green looking to the inside, that 55. These are battles inside the top 5. Haven't seen many battles. Emerson up here now, starting to see those elbows start to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. And for drivers like Michael Lipicki and Jason Green, they are locked in. Green, I believe, got the win at Talladega, and Lipicki with the win at Las Vegas. these are two drivers just trying to set themselves up with some momentum in their favor. Of course, they would love to get more wins. Of course, not only does that mean, more money this week and, more points, but just for their own, psyche. For Michael Lipicki, he has not won since the second race of the season. That was nearly 3 months ago now, Will. Michael Lipicki would like to get himself another win, remind himself that he is a winner in this series, and he will be able to contend.
He's been strong. He's been consistent throughout the season, but you just nailed it there, Emerson. He wants that checkered flag, wants to roll through this season with another victory. That 22 finds himself in a pretty good spot in that 4th position with 39 laps to go. Field is pretty quiet right now, but I know that volume knob is going to get cranked up here pretty soon. We're going to see that action start to kick off here at the desert as we're settling in a jockey for position for that 7th, as you see Hines and Williams going at it.
Yeah, they swap spots there, Hines and Williams. Hines, of course, on the older tires. I want to give a shout out once again to Greg Olenek. Of course, he was the lead broadcaster of this series before, lending me the chance to go get at it here with SRN. And Greg, of course, great stuff he did for the past few seasons here at SRN. And a shout out the breast cancer awareness livery on this truck. Really, it's just an all black truck, but with some pink highlights, of course, with the pink ribbon, breast cancer support on the hood. Typically, Greg is in his Moo and Brew number 31 machine. You can see, bought that thing from a mile away, the white and black cow livery, but for October, I'm imagining it is going to be this breast cancer support livery for Greg Olenek.
Yeah, folks, I can't believe it's October already, but that is it is a month to recognize breast cancer awareness, whether we know somebody that's had it or we have a friend or a family member or any kind of connection. I believe we have some sort of relation to breast cancer and everything that it affects. Shout out to him for rocking that paint scheme here for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I believe there's some other special paint schemes in this field, but we're watching though. Danny Dow, he's moving up. He's trying to put the pressure on Williams there for that 7th spot.
Zachary Hines is dropping like a rock through the running order, but in the opposite direction is Danny Dow shooting forward, trying to work over now 2-time race winner Trevor Williams for the 7th position. So they go at it here through the dog leg and into turn number 1. And Zachary Hines back here in 12 trying to fend off Austin DeLong and Jose Castellanos.
Ooh, nerves starting to build up, starting to feel those butterflies here at Phoenix. 34 laps to go here in the Fiverr Truck Series regular season finale. Dylan Godinez, he needs a win, possibly to move through into that championship round. And we'll see if he can get it done. He moves into 10th. Matthew Greathouse, 9th. Danny Dow, we've mentioned his name a few times here tonight. Emerson, he's up to 8th. Meanwhile, though, Andrew Harris, he's still pacing, though, in that lead. Dalton McKinney's right there. Those two have separated from that 3rd place truck.
Absolutely. They have gapped their way away from Greg Olenek, and I do see Andrew Harris is starting to gap his way away from Dalton McKinney. It is near half a second now. That gap between them, that was much closer a couple laps ago. So Andrew Harris is living it up in this clean air. And McKinney may be starting to struggle a little bit behind the 87 as this run extends.
And doing a great job up there. Andrew Harris in the 87. We've seen this season. Andrew gets up in the lead with these strong runs. Does a great job up there. Different strategy here tonight, though. You mentioned it, winning that first wave of pit stops. So he's going to be in a bit of the used equipment here on this run.
Oh, here we go. Dalton McKinney.
Transition that is.
He's pitted. So, just like that, McKinney, he said he's had enough.
McKinney's down. We'll see if Andrew Harris heads down. Also, Greg Olenek is in that same group of drivers that headed around lap 21, 22. We'll see how long they can stay out. When that transitions, we'll have Michael Lipicki as our race leader in the 22.
Oh, sideways there is Jason Green. Right as we transition to Mike Lipicki, you see Jason Green fighting for his life in the cockpit of that number 55 machine under heavy pressure from Michael Madden.
Yeah, and I think all these drivers know in this pack that possibly Andrew Harris in the 87 has to go down pit road. So Emerson, these could be battles for podiums. These could be battles for top fives. Shoot, this could even be a battle for the checkered flag in this group that we're watching, especially with the 22 machine of Michael Lipicki. He finds himself in that catbird seat now with 28 laps to go. He's 3 wide on the racetrack. Watch out now!
And a beautiful crossover there is Jason Green to the inside of Lipicki. Olenik's going to squeak on through, cleared to second. Olenik up to second. Lipicki down to, or up to third. Green is still sideways into the corner. And now the thing is with Dalton McKinney there, Will, he only pitted, you know, 1 green flag lap before everyone else. So, yes, he pitted early, but everyone else was not too far behind in the same tire age. Andrew Harris, of course, and Olenek and Hines on the same strategy, but only 1 green flag lap later, 4 caution laps later, did Lipicki and the rest of the company pit. So the strategy, they're not that far apart. I think this is just Dalton McKinney locked into the playoffs trying to do something.
Yeah, it could be for that 46. We mentioned it, though. Emerson, a part-time driver this season, does have a win this year. Only 6 races, though, so unfortunately will not qualify with that win locked into those playoff
Here
races.
comes Olenek.
So interesting move for that 46.
Olenek is in. So pit stops will be happening here. And it's now, does the 46 get the the undercut done? Olenek is in. Here he is. Now Trevor Williams is into the pit lane. In the 1 machine. And so the pit stops will be a cycling here. Trevor Williams is one of those drivers who pitted on the stage caution. So the strategies have meshed.
Ooh. Emerson, this is crunch time. 24 laps to go. We're starting to see those slow drip of drivers down pit road, as you just mentioned, watching the 1 machine of Williams here on the SRN network on YouTube and Facebook.
Andrew Harris is in.
Andrew Harris, our leader, is down in the 87. He's heading down by himself, so it's a slow trickle of drivers. Which drivers can push this window? Which drivers want to head down now? As we watch the 87 Emerson, this is the season right here.
For many drivers it is. This could be make or break for many of these drivers. And is there anyone out there that is attempting to stretch the fuel? Maybe, just maybe, you could look to the likes of the 13 of Ben Park, Will. He has pitted 11 laps later than the rest of the field. He is in the 10th position. Does Ben Park have a say in this? He is just 1 lap now behind Dalton McKinney, or 1 lap ahead of Dalton McKinney, my apologies. So sometime here, Ben Park can pull it off. The other thing to know is Mike Lipicki is still out here with 22 laps to go, leading over Jason Green, Michael Madden, Danny Dow, Matthew Greathouse, Dylan Godinez, Blair Holloman, Austin DeLong, and Jose Castellanos on the same strategy. Ben Park on the lap 38 strategy, along with Vickery and Connor Cunningham.
And Emerson, to answer your question there for Park in that 13, I love the strategy. I love where he's at right there in that 10th spot. Because even if you think of it this way, you know, have other drivers head down pit road, they get fresher equipment, they might have more speed on you as your equipment gets older. But what's the worst that could happen, Emerson, that you drop out of maybe the top 5? As long as Park can finish inside of the top 10, I'm thinking maybe top 8. Fair. He's in.
All he needs
he's into
today.
those championship races.
Yeah, that's another thing. I didn't even think about that part. I was more like thinking about Park maybe just trying to get the win, but obviously big picture thinking, right? If he can have this race play out in his favor, he might be A-okay.
Yeah,
Now, of course, there's still a lot of racing to go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, a lot more racing to go. I think we haven't seen the last of the yellow flag either. As we're taking a look at Danny Dow, he is under fire from that 51 machine into the corner. That's Matthew Greathouse. We haven't called his name out for a while, Emerson. He's trying to get back up to the top of the grid where he was at to start this race.
Yep, our stage 1 winner finds himself in 5th. Trying to duel it out here with playoff hopeful Danny Dow. And they're about to be unlapped, or Dalton McKinney is about to unlap himself from this battle. 18 laps to go. Mike Lepicki is still leading. He has now opened up his lead to a 2nd over Jason Green. And so Lepicki is rolling right now. Absolutely on it. McKinney is on a roll, trying to unlap himself from Blair Holloman. And the other piece to this puzzle is Ben Park is still just behind McKinney. With 17 laps to go, this is intriguing how it's playing out. Here's a battle, the battle between Dow and Greathouse still brewing.
Now Dow has to maybe settle down in this battle. You said Emerson might be comfortable in those points into the championship races next week, but he has to make sure not to press the issue too much. You don't want to take yourself out battling for these spots. Just be comfortable, ride out these next 16 laps, see where the chips may fall as he lets the 51 machine of Matthew Greathouse go by, but he's got that nose glued on that back bumper. I don't think he's going to let him by as he's going to battle it out for that 4th position.
Yeah, Greathouse clears to 4th, but Dow is not going to give it up easy. As you mentioned, Will, he is still there. He's still fighting for it. Now, something that could disrupt it here is, of course, Dalton McKinney on fresh tires coming through this battle. As they approach, Dylan Godinez is going to head down the pit lane with 15 laps to go.
Yeah, and I think he could be the first domino of those lap 27ers right there, and that's including the first half of the scoring pylon you see.
Yep.
From about the 10th position up. They all went down lap 27. So we just saw the first domino of Dylan Godinez fall from that group. When will these other drivers head down? We're running out of laps with 14 laps to go.
I am very giddy to see how this will play out. Jose Castellanos is in. Austin DeLong is in. And I think now is the time. We are in that window. But with that, Ben Park, again, pitted 11 laps later. We're 13 laps to go.
Make him the leader.
Is there a chance for Ben?
It would make him the leader if everybody decides to head down before the end of this race. We're going any kind of gamble. That would put the 13 machine of Park as our race leader. And mind you, Emerson, as you said, a lot more racing to go with 13 laps here in the SRN Fiverr Truck Series season finale. But we talked about what Park needed to do on that cut line with a win. You don't have to worry about the calculator. You got the checkered flag.
Absolutely. And Dalton McKinney now, yes, he's on fresh equipment, but he is in a pack of trucks trying to sift his way through it. Ben Park still on the same straightaway as him. And Michael Lepicki is still leading this thing with 12 laps to go. Don't forget that, you know, he could just stretch it out. Maybe is the gamble. We'll see. He is locked in, so he could gamble.
In the lap times, Emerson, lap times are staying just about the same. The guys with fresher equipment, I'm not seeing a huge difference between guys with older equipment on the racetrack. So everything, if it settles the way it is, these guys can continue at that pace at the top side of the grid. We might be watching Michael Lepicki racing it out for that check-in.
We'll see here, 10 laps to go. Will, that is 10 miles. And at this point, I mean, you have to have had made your bed. If you're making it this far into the race, you're probably not pitting unless you're out of fuel.
Yeah, no, this is it for the 22 machine of Michael Lepicki. The probably came across the radio and said, just send it home. That 22 machine now will make it 9 laps to go into the corner. Nobody around him, Emerson, as he has a second lead at the top side of the grid.
It might be too little too late, but Dan Park is ascending up the running order. He's up to 12. he might need some heroics and some very wild math to play out in his favor, but Daniel Park is trying. He is not going to go down without a fight to make it into these playoffs.
Oh, it's getting scrappy back there. You see it. He's just trying everything he can to sneak in that 7. He's got the duct tape on. He got the hammers out, whatever they needed to do to get that 7 machine back out on the track. As you mentioned, Emerson, if he can just crack inside the top 10, it might be enough. But he just has a few more positions to go with 8 laps. It might not be it, though, as his brother finds himself in the 7th spot. Comfortable. He's trying to make a move, though, on Blair Holloman for that 6th spot.
Not close enough to Blair Holloman just yet. Still a couple 1.7 seconds back. Trying to work his way through lap traffic here is Ben Park. And just trying to sift through everything, right? I mean, we're looking at Vickery had stage points. He's up in the top 10. Dow had stage points. He's up in the top 10, but he was massively outside the cut line. Ben Park was in, and he's still up here inside the top 10. I don't really know how this is going to play out, but I hope everyone with Jonathan Meyer and his crew, they do know how it's going to play out. They have the calculators and everything ready to go. 6 laps away from putting this one away. Michael Lepicki, by the way, has a 1.4 second advantage over Jason Green. And Green now trying to fend off Michael Madden and a hard-charging Dalton McKinney a lap down in that 46 machine.
5 laps to go in the regular season of the Fiverr Truck Series. Michael Lepicki trying to get his 2nd win of the season. That would lock him into those playoff races next week. Find himself just on that bubble spot, but he'll be good to go with a checkered flag. He'll be moving and grooving. 2 wins on the season. Emerson, you got to argue now. That puts him in the same likes of Jacob Zala and Jason Green if he can get the job done. Trevor Williams as drivers with 2 wins, but he's got a few more laps to get it done, though.
Absolutely. It is. I mean, we're just kind of all holding our breath, seeing how this is going to play out. The other thing, right, was Matthew Greathouse fighting for that regular season championship, battling it out with Jeffrey Radke. Radke is out. But the other part of that was Jason Green, who was up the road. So Matthew Greathouse, while he's running great, it's not 100% that Matthew Greathouse is going to secure the regular season championship. This could be one of the dominoes that needs to fall for Greathouse is Michael Madden and Jason Green duel it out. For Matthew Greathouse.
Dalton McKinney got completely sideways. That would have thrown a caution flag out. Emerson, oh my goodness, with 3 laps to go. Oh,
oh my.
He's out. Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness, if you're Michael Lepicki, that one is going to hurt. And the thing is,
man,
what is the caution for?
and I saw the 46, so when I was calling it out there, he was loose, but I thought he saved it, Emerson. I'm not sure where the rest of that happened.
Well, we'll see. Looks like the caution was not McKinney.
No, he was able to save that truck.
But nothing is appearing on timing and scoring. And we may have to go back to some investigative work. So this is the moment of caution. We're now looking for something out of the ordinary around the field.
Is it Derek De Silva in the 5, maybe?
He's in the pit. Oh, Zala. Maybe he's slow here. Oh, he was rolling.
Very interesting.
Oh, right here. Oh, it's the 52.
Oh,
Spencer
man,
Brown. We have
Emerson.
found a caution. Now let's see what happened. But this one's unfortunate. Coming around to 2 laps to go. Michael Lepicki is not going to be happy with this one. And off the corner. Oh, my goodness. James Jackson. hooks the 52 of Spencer Brown into the wall. I mean, that one's gotta hurt. Spencer Brown and James Jackson lapped vehicles, bringing out the caution with 2 laps to go. Will, that is a massive pill to swallow. I don't know if you're gonna be able to take that one. Lapped trucks with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, we just got the 2 to go signal as Michael Lipicki took us across that start finish line. And then the caution flag flew just at that moment. Oh, man, Emerson. And not only that for Michael Lipicki, but also we were just talking about that regular season championship as well. And I think for some drivers on that cut line, that could be significant here with 3 laps to go.
Here's the other thing, Will. It's the regular season finale. Dan Park essentially would be eliminated if he does not find a way to win his way in. And look at it here. He is staying out.
Let's go.
The oldest tires in the
Let's
field.
do it.
But this is for a chance to win his first career SRN race after what's been might have been a career season for Dan Park. He's trying to not let it go to waste here. He's going to start alongside old teammate Jacob Zala in the 25 machine. Dan is going to have his current teammate Michael Lipicki, who's still fuming from this caution coming out. Will, we are in overtime.
Let's go.
Here in
Let's
Phoenix.
go.
Seasons on the line. First career wins on the line. This could be something else.
Let's go, Emerson.
The field is in the hands of Daniel Park for our first attempt at overtime. Green flag is in the air, racing once again from Phoenix.
Park with a great launch there into that first corner. We'll see if everybody can keep it clean. He's under fire immediately, though, from Michael Lipicki in that 22 on the back bumper of that 7 already. They're going to make it 3 wide. Michael Madden, there's contact. Now Madden goes to the outside. Caution flag is out as Green's completely sideways off the corner. Huge pile up there. You see right there, Emerson Green in that 55. Jacob Zala as well, as we're going to have double overtime here in the regular season finale.
The caution comes out. I think the incident was not as big as it could have been. It was looking like it was going to be big as 2 drivers spun in front of the field, but I think it's just Jason Green and Jacob Zala. Bruce Ames and Greg Olenek in trouble, actually, so maybe a slightly bigger incident. There was a little bit of sim lag there. Tried to dissect all that happened. Out of all of that, though, Dan Park is still the leader.
He was holding it off there. And we'll see what brings out a late caution here. It gives us double overtime. And Green at 55. You see Matthew Greathouse at 51. Michael Lipicki.
So what happened there was Lipicki got sideways. Green checked up to not run over to 22. And then was ran over by the 51. At the same time, I don't know if he was hooked, but Zala gets the wall, nearly flips over after making massive outside wall contact. The 25 truck comes down the track and absolutely wallops Greg Olenek. Get one more look at it. Here's the other thing, Will. This is Michael Lipicki trying to pass his teammate on 50 lap old tires. I know Dan is obviously going for his season, but you've also got to be, if you're the driver trying to win this race, gotta maybe be a little mad at how this nearly played out. You lose a spot to Michael Madden out of this entire exchange as well.
Yeah, and that's we talked about it though. We almost expected this to come out. Didn't expect it to see an overtime with a lot of these drivers in comfortable positions. And Jacob Zala, man, I think he just wants to throw this one in the trash and go to the next one. He's over this track.
He might be ready for the playoffs, man. He is just trying to get out of here, I think, as he said. So here we are. We are working now lap 95 of 90, Will. Second overtime attempt.
I don't think I could have. There's no other way to cap off the regular season, Emerson, than with double overtime. This has been the stream of the season so far. We've had overtime races. We've had photo finishes. Not a lot of blowouts this season. Almost every race comes down to these last few laps, whether it's a restart, whether it's these overtime events. So I think it's just fair that we have it here in the regular season finale. Seasons are going to be determined by this double overtime. So let's rock and roll and see where the chips fall.
Absolutely. I'm intrigued here. Dan Park got a really good restart last time. Now he's going to be going against... He was going against Jacobs all on old tires. This time he's going to be going against Michael Madden on fresh tires. Will he be able to get a similar restart because he is the control truck? Or will Greathouse be right there in lockstep formation with him going into turn 1? Lipicki is going to find a way to get around his teammate without wrecking himself. And then brother Ben is there in the 6th position watching all of this, not knowing if he's going to be in or out of the playoffs. Last season's champion. Danny down there in 5th.
Here we go.
Vickery in 9th. Drivers around that cut line. And we're going to try this one again. So the field is in the hands of Dan Park. Green flag back in the air. Lipicki got a great launch from 3rd. He's going to jump in front of Michael Madden.
Lipicki with a huge move on that restart, tries to get to the high side of the racetrack, park to the low in that 7, tries to block both lanes. Here comes Madden in that 15. He's going to go right to the back bumper of the 7. Now tries to go to the top side of the racetrack to push the 22 along. Emerson, no! As Park gets loose into the slow wall. Oh my goodness, as Michael Lipicki takes the lead.
Dan Park, a big moment there as Michael Lipicki. Danny Dow's going to go spinning.
Sideways.
Oh no, Danny Dow is in trouble. White flag is in the air. Michael Lipicki leads down into turns 1 and 2.
Danny Dow in trouble. Michael Lipicki in the 22. Our race leader, Michael Madden, in 2nd behind him. They come down the backstretch. Michael Lipicki trying to get his 2nd win of the season.
Into the wall was Chasing Green, and for the 2nd time this season, Michael Lipicki is going to win in the Speed Racing Network Fiverr Truck Series. Michael Madden 2nd. Matthew Greathouse potentially locking up a regular season title there in 3rd. Ben Park in 4th, trying and maybe just might have with that result point his way into the playoffs. Trevor Williams 5th, and a lot of them. But this driver sitting in EPI victory lane, it's been nearly 3 months for Michael Lipicki, and he has reason to celebrate here at the Jewel in the Desert.
What a win it is, and you can see the excitement in that 22 machine as he's doing donuts here in the desert. As exciting as this is, Emerson, we're watching him burn it down here on SRN. It was heartbreak, though, on that last lap for both Park in that 7 and Danny Dow, who will both finish outside of the top 15 after that last lap incident.
Now here's something cool. Not many tracks on the iRacing. There's no other oval on the iRacing service here, Will, that will allow you to drive into victory lane. And so I now see, well, Michael Lipicki be working his way towards victory lane. He's doing a whole victory lap as it is. Something we don't get to see very often here in the iRacing service is a car physically drive into victory lane. Oh, he's not gonna do it. Oh no. That's okay. He's still very much in the excitement of his 2nd career Speed Racing Network victory. We get to talk to him. Mike, you did it, man.
Thanks, man. What's up?
Oh, it's great to hear from you again, and this time as a winner.
Yeah,
Mike, your
thanks.
second win on the season, and it couldn't come at a better time for you.
Yeah, it was good to get one. It's been a couple of rough races in a row here. Some of it my own doing it, and some of it is just how it's racing. So glad to get one.
Absolutely, Ben, and just walk us through the emotions that you endured when that caution came out. Lap trucks
Oh,
with 2 laps to go.
honestly, I thought it was heartbreak for sure. I was saving, and then I saw them behind me closing a little bit. I was lifting so early. I thought I was going to be good. It would have been really, really close. Probably a run out on the backstretch. So blessing and a curse. I really thought it was going to be race over, and then the restarts kind of went in my favor there and got back out in the lead. So
Well, Mike, for the first time here in SRN, you're going to be going to the playoffs, this time with wins in your pocket. And
second time.
sorry,
Season one.
second time you made the playoffs, yes. But this time as a winner, this time
sir.
as a top contender in
I don't know
the
about that,
series.
I
Well,
don't know
you're
about
up
that.
there. The
Yeah, I
stats
tried.
will say otherwise. And so, Mike, what do you think about your chances now?
Honestly, I think my chances are just right in the middle here. I'm not some super fast driver. I'm just trying to be smart and stay clean and survive. And I really don't think I'm as good as some of these hot shoes up front. And I'm just happy to be in the playoffs.
Not only are you in the playoffs, Mike, you are in there, up there in the seating. This is going to be a fun one for sure. Mike, congratulations on your second career Speed Racing Network victory. And now a much better seed for you entering the playoffs.
Yeah, I appreciate it, dude. Thanks for the broadcast, and thanks for everybody at the end there racing me clean to the finish. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. That was driver of the number 22, Michael Lepicki. And great to hear from him. I was not on the broadcast to call his first win, and being that he is a former teammate of mine, that one stuck with me, and I'm glad I was able to call one there for Mike. But now we got another Michael standing by. Will second place finisher Michael Madden coming up.
Yeah, we talk about consistency. We talk about what it takes to be a playoff driver. Michael, you finished on the podium once again this season. Take us through what was a calm race to start, but a little chippy there towards the end.
Yeah, it was good. It's just fuel mileage and kind of just settled in, and it was really difficult to pass up front. So kind of just settled in, especially when you noticed it was a fuel run. You kind of just bit your teeth and just kind of let things play out the way it played out. And then that last caution, once I got shafted on the outside, I knew I was coming in second. So good win by Mr. Lepicki there.
Yeah, so we've wrapped up the regular season now, and I'm looking at you in that 15 machine. You're eighth coming into this race. Are you feeling pretty good now that we've wrapped up this regular season? So you don't have to worry about making that cut line with a third place or second place finish here tonight. Does it give you a little extra boost heading into next week?
Oh, it's go time, man. This is what it's all about. This is the playoffs. This is everything's on the line. Just stack pennies and get out of rounds and get to that final race. It's really what it's about. It's not about wins. It's about the big picture. So yeah, I'm really happy with the positive momentum. I really feel like we have good speed in this 15 machine, and I think we're ready for another title run. Just gotta bide my P's and Q's and just keep this thing clean because it's been chippy all season, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and just looking at it here, you'll be joined by Blair Holloman. He was in 10th. Looks like he'll be okay. The only one that you're really worried about right now is Danny Dow. Does he make it in on points? We'll have to wait and see, Michael, but you will be a playoff driver next week in that 15 machine. But before then, is there anybody you want to shout out or any sponsors that helped you get on that podium here tonight?
Absolutely. I always want to thank Sparkle and Shine, Sean and those guys, everything they do for me. This is year number 5, so or season number 5 here. So awesome. Anything EC, and then really want to shout out my wife and the entire family for watching the MM15 crew, showing up every week. I appreciate y'all, and we'll get this thing going here. Good first round for me, I feel like, and I can't wait.
Alrighty, Michael, we appreciate you taking the time with us, my man. Congratulations on making the playoffs, and we'll see you next week for the first round of the SRN Fiverr Truck Series playoff races.
Thanks, boys.
That was
That was Michael Madden there, Emerson, and I believe you're catching up now with our regular season champion.
Yeah, pending confirmation from the powers that be with Jonathan Byer and his company. I believe we are hearing from not only third place finisher tonight here in round number 13 of the Speed Race Network Fiverr Truck Series season, but potentially the regular season champion, Matthew Greathouse. Matt, the stage 1 victory certainly would help you there, but a wild run to the end with the long green flag run. Who knows what strategy is going to prevail? And then the restart. You find yourself finishing third. First about the race, how about it?
Yeah, I thought it was overall a better showing than last week. We had some wrecks, but nothing like last week. I thought it was a pretty good race. I felt like I put a good strategy together. Pretty much everybody in PVR had a good strategy, and Andrew kind of got on the wrong side of it, but it's just kind of the way it fell. That caution at the stage break. So was happy to get the stage win. Was happy to be there at the end. I mean, I had enough fuel to make it, so I'm not sure where the other guys were. I was about a lap to the good, and so I was kind of hoping it was going to go green. I was also catching those guys. I think I had a little bit better tires. I was kind of saving my stuff, and we got the caution, and it still worked out okay in my favor. I feel bad for getting into Jason Green. Not sure if the caution had come out, but he got a little loose in front of me, at least kind of what I thought. And as I got in the throttle, he was letting out. I just tapped him and kind of got into him there and wrecked him. So definitely owe him an apology. And obviously it wasn't intentional. So as a tough way to end the race. Just such a clean race for me until that point.
Absolutely, but Matt, I don't think that speaks to the entire body of work that has been this season. I'd like to think that you are the regular season champion. I just want the official confirmation. But speak to that, the first 13 races for you, Matt. I mean, about as well as they could have gone for anyone, I guess, if you are the regular season champion. But nonetheless, a great showing from not only you but everyone out of PVR. What does that say about you and all the work you guys have put in this season?
I mean, I feel like I feel like I can win races. I've had the chance to win races, and like last week, I think the win was taken from me under caution. Definitely was kind of pretty good there at Rockingham, and been in position to win other races. I mean, Talladega comes to mind, Daytona, the first race of the year. I've been, top 3, finished second a couple times, I believe. So been in position to win races, just hasn't really fell my way. But overall, just, my mindset in each race is to just be as consistent as I possibly can. And because, I mean, consistency will also get you to a Final Four as long as you're, if you finish second every week, it's going to be hard to outpoint you. So, if you don't win, you still get good finishes. You can be consistent and do well. So that's kind of what I focus on. And if the wins come, then that's good. That's what we all shoot for. So just got to be in the right position.
Absolutely, Matthew Greathouse. Well, we're still penned final approval, but I'd imagine still nonetheless. Congratulations on the way the season's gone to this point. Best luck to you in the playoff rounds, and hopefully we are talking to you then next week, next time out in Texas.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I just want to quickly say thank you to Sean Griffith and Silverback Tax Solutions. They sponsor me all year and put some good showings, so thankful for their support. And then also Off Axis Paint. They've always been a good supporter of me, so I just want to thank you guys as well for broadcasting. I know tonight was probably a little bit better than last week, so hopefully we can continue that for your guys' sake and ours as well.
Absolutely, Matthew. Congratulations then on the podium finish tonight, the great regular season, and best luck to you once again into the playoffs, boss.
All right, thanks, man.
And that was driver of the number 51, Matthew Greathouse, and Now we are awaiting what can be the point standings coming out of tonight's race. And so with that, Will, we do have some race results to go through, and that we do not have to wait for. We have solidified those with the wild race that was here at Phoenix. And so on your screen, we'll be able to get those going to you. There it is, our race winner, Michael Lepicki, with the race win, the second win on the season, getting it done here at the Jewel in the Desert. Second place finish for Michael Madden. It'll be third then for Matthew Greathouse. Last season's champion Ben Park will come home in the fourth position, and Trevor C. Williams then with a fifth place finish tonight. Sixth will be Blair Holloman, followed by Austin DeLong, Jose Castellano, Zachary Hines, and Jeffrey Vickery.
Yeah, in that 11th spot, we have Andrew Harrison at 87 machine. He looked as though he was cruising to that victory. Couldn't get it done here, just finishing outside of the top 10. Jason Green as well in that 55. He finishes 12th. Dylan Godinez, don't know if that'll be enough. That 88, he finishes 13th. Daniel Park in that 7th. What a heartbreak, Emerson. We saw him in the lead. He'll finish 14th here tonight. Bruce Armisen in the 28-15. Jason Cracky in that 54-16. Daniel Dow, that might be the blow, Emerson, that puts that 2 out of those playoff races. We saw him inside the top 3, top 5 for about 85% of this race. Unfortunately, he's going to finish 17th here tonight. Spencer Brown, that 52, will finish 18th. Dalton McKinney in that 46, 19th. And rounding out our top 20 is Sean Griffith in that 23.
That is your top 20. Continue on then with the rest of the running order. Then 21st, then James Jackson, that 29 machine. He locked in pretty much via starting today. Now it'll be a little close because of the incident there, but he should be fine with that 21st place finish. Jacob Zala with the equipment malfunction, he gets back out there. He'll be 6 laps down then for that 25 machine. 23rd will be Connor Cunningham, followed by Greg Olenek finishing in 24th. 25th will be Troy Techmeyer, Wally Babb then 26th. Babb, first driver, I believe, out of tonight's race then with that 29 laps down. Same lap out with Sean Kosher to 97. Finishing in 28th will be even Jeffrey Radke, 52 laps off the pace. Derek Da Silva, 29th, 63 laps down. Sean Corcoran out of the 43 machine, 93 laps down. Nicholas Lawrence did not take the green flag tonight, so technically scored 99 laps down, but only 99 laps were then ran. So that is how the drivers came to the checkers tonight here at Phoenix. And boy, oh boy, it was a wild one to say the least, Will. Yes, very much so, much better than last week's race out at Rockingham. I will much gladly take the, 6 or 7 cautions tonight. Anywhere in the range of 10 less than last week. But albeit, it was a great race. We had a green flag run. We had strategy prevailing. We had, I don't want to say an unlikely winner, but a driver maybe that, hasn't been one of those mainstays at the top of the timing sheet each and every week in Michael Lepicki. We had, Hail Marys sent. I mean, just standing there and uncorking of a virtual football down the field 70 yards, hoping you can maybe get a tip drill into the end zone with Dan Park. And just when you thought Dan Park's night was over, Danny Dow spins it out of turn 4 coming to the white. And so none of us know where anyone is other than the drivers locked in, which we'll pull up. Well, I don't want to pull up the standings because I don't want to confuse anyone who maybe tries to go back looking for the standings later. But what we can't say is, if you go back to before the broadcast, the only things we do know, Will, is that these 11 drivers are for certain racing for a championship in Jason Green, Jacob Zala, Trevor Williams, Mike Lepicki, Wally Babb, Andrew Harris, Michael Madden, Corey Stahl, Dutton McKinney, Matthew Greathouse, and Jeffrey Radke. Outside of that, maybe other than James Jackson, we know nothing, Will.
No, not at all. And I'm also looking at Emerson and at those point standings, trying to figure out who's locked in, who's not. I'm looking at team-wise. We just spoke to Matthew Greathouse, who's our regular season champion, but for PVR, they're only looking at maybe Andrew Harris being in, and that's really it. Because you look at Jose, who was 18th coming into this race. I don't know if he's able to make it in. So PPR will only have 2 drivers in the playoff races. Also looking at Threat Level Midnight Motorsports, it looks like they might have the most drivers in there, but it's going to be quite the playoff standings if everything holds the way we're looking at it now. Emerson, I know there's going to be some changes there right at that cut line. Some drivers will make it in, some drivers won't. But this is going to be quite the playoff sequence we're going to have with a lot of these guys have multiple wins, 1 win on the season, no wins for some of these guys. If that 1 or 2 wins can happen here with these last 4 races, we'll have a champion. It doesn't matter where they're at on the point table. Looking at Jacob Zalawali Bab, no wins yet. Or looking at maybe James Jackson right there. We're looking at Jeffrey Radke, no wins on the season for either one of those guys. They get a win here in these last 4 races of the season, that could be your champion.
So here it is. We're watching back the restart, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why when Dan took a slide that the sim started to not like it. But right there you see Danny Dow sliding off the track as well. And so in just half a lap, we lost our 2 drivers fighting on that cut line, and Dan Park and Danny Dow. And then that was the rest of the race. It was Michael Lepicki kind of riding off into the sunset with the victory. Michael Madden, Matthew Greathouse, Ed Park had to make a lunge there, and so on. So, I do have to say, I mean, not that, 6 cautions is great, but I think it's much better for this series. Got to give a shout out to the Speed Racing Network Fiverr truck guys for getting a nice, good run in today. We had some strategy play out, and it was a very compelling race. And then, well, lap cars are gonna lap car and bring out a yellow, but it made for a very interesting finish.
It did indeed, and we're still interested and locked in here. We still have a bunch of people watching here on the SRN network as well. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to our broadcast here in this regular season finale. Currently, we're awaiting the regular season finale points to see who makes it into those playoff races, whose season will end here at Phoenix, who will have a shot at that championship race. We got a bunch of people watching with us here on YouTube, and folks, as we're waiting here, we invite you to go check out our Facebook page at Speed Racing Network there. Go check us out on Twitter as well. Go ahead and like this YouTube video if you're watching along on YouTube or Facebook. Share it. And Emerson, I believe we have a new thing for exclusive members as well.
Yes, sir, our premium membership program. Well, while you're down there, guys, first of all, if you see that subscribe button, it's big, bright red, click it, guys. Just go ahead. Help us out, right? Hit our subscription goal. But while you're down there, you're going to be intrigued by the join button. What does that mean? Join what? You can join the Speed Racing Network membership program. And what that is for $4.99 a month. $4.99, that is, not $400.99. $4.99 a month. You can gain access to loyalty badges and custom emojis, exclusive wallpapers and photos, early access to content, member shoutouts, members only live chats, and priority reply to comments. You can, of course, join by hitting that join button next to the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Of course, yes, we very much appreciate you subscribing and liking the show while you are down here fiddling around with the like button and the subscribe button, that join button, and yes, we'll absolutely a huge shout out to our Facebook page, our X page. Oh, we're at a couple of our social media links, our Instagram at instagram.com/speedracenetwork, our Twitch at twitch.tv/speedracingnet, our LinkedIn at linkedin.com/company/speedracingnetwork. And I think the site that most of us are glued to and maybe spam refreshing is speedracingnetwork.com, because that is the site where you can gain all the knowledge you need to know about each and every series. You can look at schedules and everything and all that jazz as we patiently await. Oh, JB, you've jumped up into the booth, man.
I have. I just want to let you guys know we are currently crunching the points. It'll be about 6-7 minutes, and we will have that out. So you could stick around with us, or if you just want to pay attention to the SRN social media channels, we will have it up there as well here in a few minutes.
Oh, we were just plugging those, so perfect timing then.
Yes, there's some crunching that needs to happen. Of course, we want to make sure that everything is 100% accurate before we put it out, because obviously there's a lot riding on these results. So give us a few minutes. We're going to keep working on those, and we'll be right back with you.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Very much appreciate the update from Jonathan Beyer and his crew. Very hard working there. Of course, making things go round here at Speed Race Network, and well, we don't mind hanging out a few more minutes to get the knowledge we so desire. But yeah, maybe let's take a walk back through memory lane then. Will, what we weren't here for at the start of the season was some great races. As far as I'm concerned, I remember it was Wally Babb, the driver who got it done at Daytona, and I'm just double checking the records as well to go along with this. And yes, it was Wally Babb. So Wally Babb started off the season with a great victory, and I think the run for regular season championship started right then and there at Daytona. With Matthew Greathouse finishing second. I mean, even at a track that most drivers will say is luck-based, and anything and anyone can and will happen at Daytona, we still had some of the mainstays up there. Matthew Greathouse finished second, Andrew Harris third, James Jackson, who locked in on points tonight, fourth, Michael Madden sixth, so on and so forth. And so even at Daytona, the season started, and that's really what can make or break your season. For some of these drivers maybe that don't have that outright speed, will Daytona might have been the make or break for them.
Yeah, and I love Daytona. I love Talladega for that reason right there, Emerson. It's because it's anybody's race. You don't see a lot of separation. It's just a track that if you put yourself in a position, you put yourself in that pack, if you will, especially at Daytona, you have a shot at victory. You have all your strategies play out. You can get into those packs, work your way into those moves, get those victories. And for some of those guys, you just touched on it, Daytona was that deciding factor that they're gonna put some of these guys in those playoff races.
Yeah, 100% there, Will. And just thinking about it, right, Daytona could have been so different, right? But you just think about it, right? It went one way, and for Wally Babb, it made his season. Babb, into the playoffs, and of course Babb with that win. Not only did he make the playoffs, he capitalized on it. Wally Babb was the highest driver in points with one win. So not only did he win and lock himself into the playoffs, he capitalized on it. And he proved that maybe it just wasn't a Daytona fluke. As for Wally Babb, it's a newer name to me here for someone who's been here in Speed Race Network for a while, but Wally Babb definitely left a slight mark so far this season, and still plenty of time for him to write more. But of course, we are not done with anything just yet. Of course, after that was Las Vegas, where of course this driver on your screen, Michael Lepicki, got it done, and we're working on getting that highlight, because we had it earlier this season, by the way, the throwback to the finish that Michael Lepicki had to get it done at Las Vegas, and I believe we do have it ready. Trying to see. Yeah, we do. So we'll go ahead and we'll let the highlight kind of throw back to Michael Lepicki's first career Speed Racing Network victory that happened just under 3 months ago.
We are going back green here at Las Vegas. Green, white, checkered attempt number 1. And Michael Lepicki gets off to a great start.
Oh, and right there we saw the 51 drop back.
Pay attention here. Nathan Nixon is running on that bottom line there. Excuse me, Jacob Zala is running on the bottom line. See if he can get back up here to the leader. Oh, we're coming to the white flag this time. Mike Lepicki, he's your leader.
Oh man, looks like this.
Oh, wrecked it.
Oh, big
After the white.
wreck back there. And we'll have to wait till the end of this to go back there and
Yep.
look at that.
Watch Jacob Zyla with the move here coming. Might get a run.
See if Michael Lepicki can hold off Jacob Zala.
Tell you right now, his heart's racing.
Coming to the checkered flag. Michael Lepicki
Wow.
will win at Las Vegas.
What a win, Michael.
And that's right. There it was. Michael Lepicki's first win, and bring it back here to Phoenix, where he is currently, well, I'm sure he is certainly celebrating his second career Speed Race Network victory. So there, of course, Michael Lepicki had to fend off a hard-charging Jacob Zala for that victory, and he did very well at that. And so Lepicki got his first win back at Las Vegas, his second win then tonight. We find our way to the third race of the season, where that hard-charging Jacob Zala, who came up one spot short in Las Vegas, well, he did one spot better at Sonoma. Probably I think our largest margin of victory on the season was Jacob Zala then at Sonoma. It was 14.6 seconds, and he led 30 of the 45 laps. It was a very dominant race for Jacob Zala, and that would not be the end of his win tally to that point of the season. After that, I think many drivers, many spectators will say that, you know, in a season, right, especially with these trucks, mile and a halves play out as similar to plate races, and to a certain extent that's true with these trucks that low horsepower. You can go wide open around many of the higher banked 1 mile and a half tracks, and Corey Stahl got his first win done at Kansas, and we weren't entirely sure what that meant for the likes of Michael Lepicki and Corey Stahl. Well, Corey Stahl, he kept his momentum going. He is coming into today's race was the 8th seed in the playoffs and still continues on. After that, we head to the Milwaukee Mile, which that was our first broadcast, and that was where Dalton McKinney got his first win. I don't know if you can recall all the way back, but that was back on August 1st, 2 months ago for us, Will.
Oh man, just seems like yesterday that we saw Dalton McKinney get that victory on our very first broadcast together, and he's been consistent since then, and we saw him here in tonight's race. He was battling it out, had a different strategy here tonight that put him a bit further down the field than he wanted to be. But yeah, I remember that race there back in August. It was the kickoff for the Fiverr Truck Series between me and you, Emerson, and I think ever since then, this season's just been incredibly close. We've had overtime races, we've had photo finishes. It's just been a crazy season.
Absolutely crazy, because right after that we went to Darlington, where, if you don't remember, at Milwaukee, Andrew Harris drove through just about everyone, and well, let's just say the admins, they saw it, and they gave him, maybe rightfully so, and some people's eyes, they gave him a penalty. Nonetheless, that penalty was to start from the rear at Darlington. But what I've got to say is, in one of the cleanest trucks in that field at Darlington the next week, Andrew Harris went from last to first and won at Darlington after being, I guess, criticized all week about how he drove at Milwaukee. He kind of turned everything around, had the cleanest truck at Darlington, and won after starting last. Probably one of the most remarkable drives of the season in my eyes. It was Andrew Harris having to deal with all that.
Yeah, and the 87 we saw leading here in tonight's race, the regular season finale. I think Andrew Harris in the 87 has to be maybe one of those low-end, low-radar favorites in these playoff races. That could be sneaky in these last 4 races of the season.
And so from there, we went to Charlotte, which was our 3rd mile and a half on the season. And that, of course, was the first of 2 victories for Jason Green on the season. Green dueled out that one with Wally Babb and Jacob Zala for that victory, and he was able to get it done then at Charlotte, leading 30 of the 80 laps. The next week, we went out to the short track at Iowa, and we had 14 cautions there. It's a little bit of a lengthy one, but Trevor C. Williams showed out in what was initially a part-time schedule for Trevor C. Williams. He has since switched up and has become full-time. Trevor C. Williams, of course, with his affiliation at PVR, which is kind of helping the guys out mentoring down here in the Speed Race Network Fiverr Truck Series. But he showed up to Iowa and showed out, went on and dominated Iowa, and said, well, you know what, Iowa, you know, you get a little payout, right? You get your $10 back from paying the entry fee. You get, 2 races paid back after that. So, you know what he did? He said, well, let's put that money towards next week's race. After Iowa, with Chicagoland, Trevor C. Williams, well, wouldn't you know, he goes back to back. Right there in some of his first starts on the season, Trevor C. Williams shows up and shows out. Showed out with, once again, another mainstay in the series, Wally Babb. Again, quietly was becoming one of the regulars towards the front end of the results sheet. And so that was that. We then went to New Hampshire. Probably one of the closest track types to Phoenix is New Hampshire, Will. And if you remember, that was back in September. We had 11 cautions, and it was Michael Madden's first win. Filling it out again with some drivers maybe you weren't expecting as mainstays, like Jason Green and Andrew Harris, that are quietly becoming mainstays in the series towards the top of that result sheet. That was Michael Madden's, I believe, one and only win on the season at round 10.
Yeah, and I think you just tail-ended it there with Michael Madden in that 15. I think a name that gets overshadowed by some of these guys. We saw him racing here tonight, finishes on the podium. I think he could be Mr. Consistent in this series. Watch him here in these last 4 races. Watch if he can get up to the podium, if he can get inside the top 5. Towards those last races of the season, see where that 15's at. If he's in the mix, he could be the Dark Horse Championship pick.
Absolutely. It would not blow my mind to see Michael Madden all of a sudden up there and in the thick of it for the championship. Then we get to more recently, we had Talladega, Will. That was a wild race. That was Jason Green's second victory on the season. He was steadily pushed by Jacob Zala to that victory there on that final lap. By the way, guess how many laps Jason Green led at Talladega? The last lap. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yes, sir. As long as you lead the last one, as Vin Diesel once said, doesn't matter if you win by a mile or a quarter mile or an inch or whatever it is, Emerson, as long as you get that checkered flag. And I remember that race at Talladega. We talked about Talladega and Daytona, the way the opportunities can arise for drivers at those tracks, and for the 99 machine, he found his opportunity at Sweet Home Talladega.
So Jason Green picked up his second win on the season, and for the second time in the season, Jacob Zala finishes second, and then the next week goes out and wins. This time was at Rockingham. He led 49 laps. It was not the most. Matthew Greathouse led the most at 59. And that went a long way into securing a regular season title for Matthew Greathouse, but went a long way for Zala as a driver. That showed that he can really, stick it out in these oval races and keep his truck clean and stay calm. And he got it done there at Rockingham. Of course, Rockingham was something else. Had 16 cautions, but that was a fun one nonetheless. And of course, we get to tonight's race here at Phoenix, where of course Michael Lepicki won the race and got his second win on the season. And now we are just awaiting the standings from Jonathan Byer, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we've got them right here, Will. Just give us one moment and we'll get this pulled up, and we will have those confirmed standings up on your screen. And so we go, making sure we got the right ones up.
They are official.
Yep. And so here we go. Standings up on the screen. This is from Jonathan Byer. And so there it is. Locking themselves into the playoffs. James Jackson, of course, basically starting today, got him into the playoffs. Blair Holloman finishing there, that second driver coming into today's race. He'll stay there. 24 and 23 points above Dan Park. And wouldn't you know, out of all that craziness coming to the checkers, both the Park brothers will make it in. Ben Park will try to go back-to-back in championships here in the Fiverr Truck Series, and Dan Park will make the playoffs for the first time in his career.
But look at Danny Dow. You see right there, he finishes in the 17th position, 19 points from that cut line, was consistently in the top 3, top 5 in that race. Who knows, Emerson, what could have happened at the end of that race if Daniel could have finished on the podium or possibly won that race. That's the only case I see. Of course, Dylan Godinez had a good run here tonight, tried to do everything he could. For some of these guys, though, their seasons just went sideways. They just couldn't get it to turn back around. Troy Techmeyer, I'm looking at Jason Kratke, Austin DeLong. Just never could find their footing in the regular season. Unfortunately, won't be racing for a championship. Jeffrey Vickery will finish 15 points outside, and I'm curious to see how far the brothers can go, Emerson. You just mentioned it there. Ben Park, Dan Park, both in the championship hunt.
Yeah, and it's wild, I think, Will. The tale of two worlds for the Park brothers there. Ben, of course, last season's champion, trying to go back-to-back, nearly missed the playoffs. And Dan Park having a career year in his standards, making the playoffs for the first time. It's a tale of two stories for the Park brothers, and they both just squeak in. I mean, this is going to be a fun playoffs. But there it is. 15 drivers who will be competing for the championship starting next week at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway in virtual Fort Worth, Texas. Jacob Zala, Jason Green, Trevor Williams, Michael Lepicki, Andrew Harris, Wally Babb, Michael Madden, Corey Stahl, Dalton McKinney, Matthew Greathouse, Jeffrey Radke, James Jackson, Blair Holloman, Ben Park, and Dan Park. And I'm just gonna double check this off of the Sim Racer Hub as well. I believe Matthew Greathouse is going to secure the regular season championship with this race as well. Looking to see if that was confirmed. And I'm not sure where that will be confirmed, but I do believe Matthew Greathouse was able to solidify it with that race. I mean, he had a great race.
By looking at the table here, Emerson, although it shows Matthew Greathouse in the 10th position in this particular table, if you look at his overall points, total of 459 points, that does put him above the rest of the field, meaning that Matthew Greathouse is our regular season champion.
There it is, right? So he'll get a good load of bonus points to carry with him. I think we're in the range now of 85 to 100 bonus points in total for Matthew Greathouse going into the first round of the playoffs. I mean, that is going to be nuts to walk into the first round with. And that's just kind of speaking volumes to how well these drivers have done this season. It's going to be intriguing to see how it all plays out then next week at Texas. But there it is. And your 15 drivers competing for a title. Unfortunate for Jeffrey Vickery, Danny Dow, Jose Castellanos, Dylan Godinez, Austin DeLong, and the like. But great efforts. I mean, what could have been for Danny Dow or Dan Park should that final restart play differently? We thought it was over for Dan Park when he lost it out of turn 2, and maybe he did as well. And then half a lap later, Danny Dow's hard work, maybe all for naught, goes slipping away, coming to the white flag. And that's just how quickly things could change here in the Speed Race Network Fiverr Truck Series.
Yeah, and like able to keep that truck out on the racetrack, all the damage, all the duct tape, everything falling off of that truck. He made the wise decision to stay out, Emerson, and that puts him in. Had he went down pit road, had he elected not to keep that truck out, it could have meant he was out. He is in. I cannot wait for Texas next week. Everything is bigger in Texas, including the stakes here, Emerson, our first round of the playoffs. I cannot wait to kick it off next Tuesday.
Absolutely. So that is where we will be then, at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway in virtual Fort Worth, Texas. And so that was what we were waiting for here, Will. I think then that'll do it from us here from Phoenix. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. And of course, a huge shout out to all of our partners here at SRN, Fiverr, Glitch, and Z Grills for all of their hard work on each of their respective days. Tonight, of course, Fiverr for all of their hard work with the Speed Racing Network Fiverr Truck Series. Admin box has been on your screen all evening long. Make sure you use code SRN-box for 10% off of your admin box purchases. Duck Kicker, of course, a commercial partner here at Speed Race Network. They do a lot for us here. EPI, of course, our Victory Lane presentation tonight, and Select Blind with our incident replays this evening. We already shouted out our social media outlets, but just one more time, check out our Facebook, our X page, Instagram, our Twitch, our LinkedIn. Of course, more than likely you're watching here on YouTube. Why don't you go ahead and drop a subscription, or hit subscribe and hit like and help us out reach our sub goals here at YouTube. And don't forget, of course, you can check out speedracingnetwork.com for all things Speed Racing Network. It's the schedules, points, and all that jazz for each respective series you may follow. Well, then, that's for all for Speed Racing Network. Thank you all so much for watching. Had Will Tiller and myself, Emerson, are none to call this evening. We'll see you tomorrow night when the Glitch Truck Series keep trucking here in the desert, or next Tuesday night when the Fiverr Trucks kickstart their playoffs from Fort Worth.